Good afternoon to everyone. It's Mario López. We are a bit late, let's say 20 minutes, so I will try to hurry up. I'm presenting this project, NATURPORTS, integrating nature-based solutions into port ecosystem restoration. So the presentation of the last presentation regarding nature solution, it's a introduction to this project. To be honest, it's not a project itself. I'm presenting today a funded project, but it belongs to a more general project or general project idea that started at least 6 years ago at this faculty or School of Engineering and Building. After several years in partnership with the Faculty of Biology, we applied for funding and we get into this project and this NATURPORTS that I'm presenting today. Don't expect a scientific presentation. It's just a description of a project. It's for you that most of you are PhD students, so as to get an idea of what is an example of a project related to nature-based solutions. It's a bit different because I took some notes regarding your presentation. It's a great solution because we are talking about ports, but we can talk. We will talk maybe about hybrid solutions. Very importantly, it will be a very different approach because even mostly was focused on cultural processes, and this kind of hazards. Not this solution we are testing this project and more related to socio-economic, ecological aspects. I'm civil engineer to start with, so I did my PhD on port engineering. And I know that I'm an expert in the ecological aspects. So the PI of this project, Nico, is not today in Asturias, so he couldn't present this project. So it's me, and don't ask me about the ecological things. Okay. I've been working on marine structures and coastal structures, and this is the first project I'm collaborating with in the framework of this environment. I'll be very happy to collaborate with other people from other different fields. It's a very interesting experience to me because it's changing completely my way of thinking about research and topics, and it's a really, really good experience. And if you can do so in the future, you young students do so because it's really nice. I'm not boring you with my CV, of course. So I'm going directly to the background of the project. Okay, very fast. When we talk about port infrastructure, we are thinking about economic and social development. Okay, sometimes people not happy with this kind of with every infrastructure, port being part of state infrastructure, but we need more. But if you think about, for instance, the highways and the train lines and everything, it goes from one city to another, not to one city to another. The cities are there because there is a port, a natural port there, and in the past it was the best place to mine, to exchange goods to the marine traffic. Okay, and the city grows around the port, and then the new train routes arise to communicate. Okay, on shore, this city, this port with other cities and other ports. Okay, so the high impact of the ports in terms of economics and social development is very important. Okay, this is the Port of Vigo, or part of the Port of Vigo that is part of this project. But of course, we have high environmental impact. Okay? For instance, we have the alteration of natural habitats by itself, because I'm not talking about the different maritime works or port infrastructures. Many of you, maybe people following us from home or online, I mean, you have a civil engineering background, you know about this infrastructure or these maritime works, but we have breakwaters. We will talk about breakwaters today. By themselves, is this an alteration of a natural habitat? Impossible to build a port without any. We have also pollution resulting from industrial and port activities, not always because of the port itself, but because we are doing the port for instance, for transportation. We'll put here a picture of a big vessel, a big ship with, with pollution. It's a typical thing, but we have also the oil spills and other spills because of the cargo and cargo operations. We have also the sediment transport and other morphological aspects that the port infrastructure, mainly the breakwaters, happens as a result. I could include many different pictures here. The first one that comes to my mind is in Portugal, where we have an interruption of the sediment transport in the river, Minho River, in the sort of Galicia. So afterwards, they started building jetties, this kind of perpendicular rivers to the coastline. So, a big problem, of course. You have other places also in the Mediterranean Sea. You look into the Google Maps or Google Earth, and you can see the surroundings of Barcelona full of breakwaters to counteract, this kind of breakwaters, the impacts of mainly a port infrastructure in the beginning of the time. This is a very well-known problem for civil engineering. Nothing new, Not at all. And we have to study the impacts of climate change, as Ivan was talking before. For instance, it's in Spanish, but I'm familiar to this. This June is for sure the most hottest month in the history of data sets. We have sea level rise that again is impacting these changes in the coastal processes. We have also the more frequent extreme events that Ivan was talking to us. You know about this much better than me now after Ivan's talk. This is a picture of the breakwater in Cudillero, Port of Asturias. We have the higher temperatures that is not related, the impacts are not related to the physical processes themselves, but the ecological. Remember, this project is more related to the ecological and socio-economical aspect than to the physical processes. It's another news from Galicia, where I come from. You're not familiar with many people following this seminar from South America. Maybe they are not familiar with the regions in Spain. We are in Asturias, in Spain, and Galicia is northwest to our left. If you're looking into the map, the common map at this north, northward. It was because it's a very famous region, Galicia, for the aquaculture and the seafood and everything. And it was not because of the higher temperature itself of the ocean, but because of the floodings of the rivers discharge with lower contents of salt into the areas. These are estuaries where they are harvesting this kind of salt. In response of all those hazards, this project, the main aim is to mitigate these impacts, at least partially, of course, as any project, by developing nature-based solutions. We will see about this, just a brief description. Enhancing ecological functionality and biodiversity. Of course, these nature-based solutions are supposed to contribute to the second aim. And third, by promoting sustainable management of coastal infrastructure. That is completely linked to what we were saying in the last few slides. It's a part of this project. As a summary, it's a project in terms of the funded project itself, not the general project, that covers many other aspects that we are looking for funding in the future. It's a 18 months project. It's a project, very important project to us. Starting last summer, we are finishing the first project year. Almost 1 million euros for all partners, because we have 4 partners: the Port Authority of Vigo, that is the leader of the project, the Spanish National Research Council, and the universities of Vigo and Oviedo, where we are right now. It is funded by the Spanish Foundation for Biodiversity, Fundación Biodiversidad, through this program, CLEAMAR, that is at the same time funded by the European Union through this European Maritime and fisheries farm. Okay, we have to take the picture because we are cutting our farm. You know. The summary is that integrating nature-based solutions into the restoration of port ecosystems through different ways. Okay, to enhance the ecological functionality, biodiversity and climate protection. Lots of keywords. Okay, but again, is to demonstrate and to test nature-based solutions in port environment. That's it. These solutions. We have two sites in the port of Vigo in Galicia and one site in the port of Julia. We are working on at the University of Oviedo. And of course, we are engaging local stakeholders through different events this summer. For instance, in our case, we will talk about them. Partners, well, just to, I would like to recognize the efforts of the Port of Vigo because they are very important port. They belong to the Green Port whatever association. They are very committed, to be honest, because I was in a project with them. So I'm very happy to collaborate again on the project with them. We have a department for sustainability itself, it's the Blue Growth Strategy. In fact, they are the head of the Green Ports Association in Europe. In comparison to other partners, when I was in other European projects, it was to find a non-academic partner in a project that is so committed with a project is not easy. In this case, they are doing. In fact, they are the main partner of the project, which makes the difference. Okay, we have of course, Spanish National Research Council. They are familiar to research, so that's not to say. Okay, they are in Vigo as well. We have the University of Vigo through the Centro de Investigación Marina, this building on the bottom, and the University of Oviedo through the Department of Biology, who are leading this project, and the Department of Construction, we are part of the research team, me and at least one other researcher. What are the objectives? I will go fast through this because we are running out of time. Nature-based solutions in port environments. We have 7 different objectives. I'm not going through this one. Enhancing biodiversity and biomass. Measurable indicators to assess the success of restoration. It was a very important thing because if you remember more than 2 hours ago when Iman started his presentation, she started with indicators. We need indicators to measure how we are improving our adaptation to climate change. So I could remember that, okay, our objective was in line with the strategy of climate change adaptation. Okay, scalable strategies, because we are not with pilot projects, but in the future it's supposed to be scalable to a full or complete port environment, disseminate research and innovation through social promote awareness, engaging youth and the general public, blah, 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 doing events, get the people engaged to the project and promote the awareness of climate change and possible solutions. Okay. Into particular actions. Well, this is the complete work plan. Okay, the typical one with communication. Sorry, it's in Spanish. Oh, sorry for that. Communication. The technical activities, okay, these 3 ones. I will focus on the first one, okay, coordination from a technical point of view. We have 3 pilots. The first one is in the port of Vigo. What they are doing is the restoration of one of the beaches within the port domain, okay, the Bozas one. You remember the first picture with the cars on the port? It was the Bozas planet, is very close to this side. So they are restoring with 2 different species, Costera norte and Costera marina, brand new place. So there is at least one biologist in the room. If I don't remember, as far as I know, Costera norte is in the intertidal zone, and the Costera marina is underwater. Yeah? Ready? Okay. Or if not, it's opposite. Okay. It's part of the project that we are not proud of this. I am not the pilot of this, so I would like to know about this. What else? In the Port of Vigo as well, the second pilot is to include this kind of rocky reef bioengineered solution. Okay? Is to promote biodiversity because, for instance, the octopus, we have a very famous dish in Galicia that this octopus style means many octopus, so the fishermen in the area. The thing is to develop new structures for rubber breakwaters. There are two types of coastal protection structures: breakwaters, rubber breakwaters, they break the waves, and seawalls. Seawalls work because they reflect the wave factor. Okay, are the two typical coastal defense or port defense infrastructure. But we are on this pilot. Oh, I think some pictures are missing. Is the the pilot in the port of Gallego. Let me check the time. Because I have several videos. Okay, what we are doing is, barnacle. No, barnacle in Spanish is percebes. Percebes? Percebes? Ime? Percebes or barnacle? Polysex? No? Iowa? Have you ever tasted? No? What about the people from home? I know that there are many people from South America, Latin America. No sé si saben o es famoso los percebes o barnacles sus países de origen. No sé si hay alguien que no esté dormido todavía. ¿Le suena por lo menos? ¿Me escucha? Cristian, sé que está ahí.
Sí, te oímos.
Sí, te oímos y los percebes sabemos y nos gustan.
Bueno, pero sé que la gente aquí tengo gente que viene de Francia ahora con nosotros, varias personas, y no todos los han probado. Y hay muchos, algunos no saben lo que es. Bueno, no sé, culinariamente no tienen el valor que tienen en Portugal, España y partes de Francia, por lo que veo. Recuerdo. Tengo un vídeo porque estaba pensando en esto, como sé que I know that in this cultural program there are many people from other countries than Spain, so I was including this video because we are late, we are in the afternoon. I know to make it a bit more. Opa, what is it? Oh. Well, I have another video here, but it should work. Oh.
¿Estáis compartiendo solo la presentación?
Sí, lo sé, voy ahora.
Ah, vale.
I know it. Esta es la publicidad, ¿eh? No es. Barnacles or percebes in Spanish. I know that most of you are familiar to percebes. ¿En serio? No, es este. Sí. Son los portugueses.
I think you skipped it when you.
Really? Could be. Thank you. But the music is not interesting. And just to talk about you all that you know about the barnacle. The barnacle is an animal, no? That goes in the rocky coasts, okay? And in north of Portugal, Galicia, and parts of France, it's famous because it has a very high value in terms of taste, okay? And the thing is that the people that are harvesting these animals from the rocky coast, it's a risky job, okay? And that's the reason why this food is over 100 euros per kilo, okay? This in the coasts of Spain, not in all coasts of Spain, but in the north coast of Spain. Galicia, Asturias, Cantabria, and Basque Country, but it's not typical from the Mediterranean part of Portugal, Spain. So we can see the rocks where these men are going to harvest the barnacles. Politics, okay, just for you to know. So this pilot is I think it's for the first time in history and all over the world that somebody is trying to grow barnacles in a pot. And we know that Portuguese people or Portuguese researchers were growing or trying to do so in natural habitats, but not in artificial. Okay. Oh, so just 1 second. Wait. Sorry, just 1 second again. Yeah. Is it working, Christian, now?
Yes.
Okay. So now you all know about barnacle. I should put a picture of barnacle because you could see the rocks, but not the barnacle itself. Sorry for that. Well, there are some aspects that are related to management of fisheries because of fishing or harvesting of these species. There are some issues, and not especially the thing from the Faculty of Biology. They are specialists. They have been working fishermen and global. Yes? Okay, well, but your PhD thesis is about barnacles as well?
No,
But you know about.
yes, I know.
You're very welcome. Maybe you know about the management of fisheries and everything, and the practices. You know, this thing is part of the project is giving advice of the associations of fishermen how to do the proper harvesting, to do it in a sustainable manner. Because if you remove all the barnacles from a rock, then in the future it takes much longer to grow up again. But if you leave at least a small piece with a couple of barnacles, it's easy because they start growing in the teeth of the adult barnacle. But it's something I didn't study in my seminary degree. Okay. This is the pilot. Okay, this is the port of Cudillero. General view, of course, is in Asturias, maybe 45 minutes from Mieres, and by car, 35 minutes from Oviedo, 20 minutes from Avilés. It's to the west of Avilés, for you to know. The old harbor, the old port infrastructure, the new one, well, not the new one, it's from the 1983. Okay? It is the original section from the original. It's not new, but it's newer than the old. So, you know, it's the section. I cannot go into the section because if you are sitting here, you know about the different sections. It's not a proper red water, red water. It's a mix. We call it section mixta because it mixes the vertical parapet with the red water. With blocks, concrete blocks, you can see over there of 60. So the idea of the project is to take the barnacles from a natural habitat and get them into the blocks, concrete blocks of 60 tons, and to try to restore or make it more eco-friendly, let's say. And trying to give the fishermen a place more secure, let's say, to work and to make an experiment so as we can get a controlled testing area if we compare it to the natural habitat, so we can get more knowledge about the barnacle and help these communities to live more sustainable way. Okay. Well, of course, the barnacle are, well, of course, you know about this, maybe you're not familiar. The barnacle are growing in the intertidal zone. Okay, so we have the breakwater, the plan view. You can see the 60 tons concrete blocks. No? So we have to do the experiment in the blue area. In the beginning, we had 3 control areas. Now we have 2 areas once the project started. One to the north. North is around here, and the south area, because we want to compare how the barnacles behave in 2 different when they are under 2 different levels of mechanical stress. Mechanical stress that in the end is wave action, wave force, if you want. And it is the reason why we are including also, well, first the barnacle. We are taking the barnacle from the natural. These are my these are barnacle, okay, not my feet. We are taking the barnacles with a piece of rock, a small piece, because we cannot remove the barnacle itself, not the barnacle dies. Okay, so we have to remove with this, with any tool, a piece of rock, and then we are with a special glue. Let's say it's confidential, the type of glue we are using, because we have to do many different. Yeah, this project is very focusing on the experimental part, because you think, okay, we can use the typical toxic glue that we are using in the writing works to glue whatever. Yeah, but the barnacle is that. The first test we did with one commercial, all the barnacle was after. It's not so simple, but in the end we managed to do it with no mortality of barnacle after the gluing of the rock piece. Then we glue it into a concrete plate, and then the concrete plate goes to the 60 tons concrete block in a mosaic or not mosaic configuration. Let's say. In the beginning, that's the reason why I told you, okay, it's a funded project, not the general project, because the idea was to test different forms of concrete plates with different materials, so as to compare the barnacle then is growing with a different roughness of the material, with different composition of the concrete, testing different things from the physical or engineering point of view. But within a 1.5 years project, it wasn't possible. It is, as I say sometimes to the API of the project, don't worry, it is the experiment of the project. There's growth for the project, a long duration project. We started in summer last year. We have to start with the administrative process. Winter came in November with really big waves, so we couldn't install everything. We wanted to take a measure for at least 1 natural year. Well, okay. What we do during the transplantation from the natural habitat to the concrete plates is to scan, as a novelty of methodologies is to scan with a 3D scan the barnacle, okay? And then on site is to measure, to record the waves, not the waves, but the water pressure. That is a different thing, okay? I don't know if the video is working. It was supposed to be a video and it's not working. If we have time, I will show you the videos. If not, well, ask me for the videos. Okay, it's an image of the people working there. It was a very complex working atmosphere. Okay, an example of the barnacles on the piece of rock with glue on the concrete plate and the concrete plate on the block. Okay. Well, another video that is not working yet. Well, but it's not interesting. It's just the operation of the nothing interesting from a scientific point of view. No. Yeah, the scanning is here. For instance, we have to do it very quick. The thing is that there are many different measures of the barnacles in the literature, okay, that are typical for ecologists. They work with that. I remember at least 5 different measurements of the barnacles at different places, and it's standardized, let's see, in the field of biology. Okay? But they were doing so with, I don't know the name for that, calibre in Spanish. So the name for that is this tool product. Yeah, it's the precision product, let's say, to be more, I don't have no idea, you know. But we didn't have time to do so for every single barnacle to be transplanted from the natural area to the rainwater. So we had to think about the scanning. So with the 3D scanning, we can get a model of the geography of the barnacles, and then in our desk, we can start doing the measurements on the scanned version of the barnacles. And we can introduce new measurements of the growing of the barnacle to do comparisons. Experiments is included. Of course, the idea is to compare the status measures before and after, and compare the measurements, the differences in the different control areas. Okay? What is happening, and correlate with the pressure sensor measurements. Okay. What else? What more? Well, so it's my colleague. Well, having fun, not so fun. And the digital model of the barnacle, for example. And another thing we want to do is to introduce new measurements, automatic measurements, with maybe artificial intelligence to correlate before and after, so that we can have a comparison of the volumetry, not only of the linear measurements, you know, maybe to think about this and introduce new advances in the field. From the engineering, it's easier to us to get and propose new things in this field, okay? Because we are more used to physics, mathematics, and measurements, you know. What else? Well, the pressure sensors on each block we have. At the beginning, we had a line for sure. I can't remember, but almost 30 blocks with at least 4 concrete plates at each block. Okay? In the beginning, we were thinking about 9 plates per block. Well, it changed because of different. The idea is to develop new measurements, because these sensors are commonly used to measure the pressure, water pressure underwater, okay, and to record the hydrostatic and remove the hydrodynamic pressure underwater, okay, and to get the water surface elevation, and then finally the statistics and get common wave statistics. Okay, significant wave height, you can figure out this measurement. Okay, but we are, remember, in the intertidal zone, so it's not so clear what is the measure or the parameter we want to compare between each block. So it's, we will have, once we have the measurements concluded, to define a new parameters and compare maybe the positioning to the intertidal zone is important or not only the wave exposure. Well, let's see what happens, and we can have conclusions with the amount of data sets we have, because in the end we have 18 blocks with 4 plates. It's not such a amount of data in terms of statistics. Okay. Yeah. What's next? Next, we are trying to do a numerical modeling of the water wave propagation to better understand what is an example in Galicia is 10 years ago, more than 10 years, 20, using numerical modeling as Imen was showing you, because we want to know the currents and the waves and the dynamics, the fluid dynamics into the surroundings of the breakwater, to better understand what is happening in terms of the flow velocities between blocks, and because nobody knows if they like wave exposure, but if there is an upper threshold, maybe in too exposed areas they cannot grow because it's too heavy. There are so many questions. Where are they more comfortable? Maybe it's because sometimes they are growing in places where there is like a conduct, like a Venturi effect stuff, and nobody knows why. It's because of the larva is moving into this hose, or is because the flow, the characteristic of the flow is more favorable to the colonization. There are many questions from the ecological point of view that need from mechanics and from fluid dynamics for a better interpretation. It's just an idea for a second part of the project. Well, I had another idea regarding experimental tests, but it's not related, not so related. I'm sorry because I was very fast, and don't be shy. It was a video to break the silence, but you can, I don't know, the song? I know it. Don't say hi. Carol G. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And don't be shy. If you have any questions, please ask email about representation or me about this project or maybe afterwards. Yeah, sure.
Regarding the reason, the objectives of taking the benefits from the natural habitat and placing them
the objective. What is the main objective?
why do the pots work
There are
something like that?
3, 2, 3, 4 main objectives. Maybe I went so fast, or maybe it's obvious. Okay, first is because we want to explore under control conditions the behavior of the species. Because we cannot deploy, we can. We try to deploy a pressure sensor in a rocky, natural rocky system. But it's not so easy because
¿Todos son estudiantes o qué?
it can be removed.
Profesor.
Sometimes rainwater is controlled by the port authorities. It's a more controlled environment. Only for the sake of the experiment, as an experiment, to analyze the species or to reproduce. If we want to, for instance, reproduce in a city model the geometry of the blocks, it's easier. For instance, if we want to install any other type of sensor, it's easier to rainwater. This is the first motivation. That's it. Not the first part. The first and the very first
¿Puedes
is
enviarme?
to try to
¿Puedes enviarme?
accelerate
Grabado.
the colonization of human infrastructure. Okay, we are building a new rainwater, and we want to do it in a more eco-friendly way. Okay, so we try to do not only the infrastructure itself, but we can do it in a way. It's different to us, that we can introduce a new species, and if this species has a benefit from the point of view of the quality of the point of view of fisheries and people around, will be benefit for us. And if the people working there can do it in a safer way than they are doing, believe me, if we can manage to do it, the people around will be very happy because it will be the first time. In my view, it's the first time that we can grow automatically. So,
Yeah, we had to push it.
yeah.
If the big project about sustainable development of the foco, you do focus on integrating the student quality.
We are doing something in the port of Vigo. They have more focus on this. The monitoring, the previous monitoring, and the after. In our silos, we are not so because in the end, in terms of budget, just on the installation of the pilot is very costly. Very. Yeah. And we are more in the
but no need to contamination.
Yeah, but you know what, you can, with these, two areas are so close, but in terms of water quality, the differences are almost big. Because in the end, they are hundreds of liters. Yeah. So in the same with water. We were thinking about it. But the conclusion was, we don't feel that we can get differences from so close points. Maybe if you have a point outside the red water, from the new one, from the control area, seawater, maybe you can be the difference in terms of water quality, but having both to the other part of the red water, we believe that the water quality will be. It's not the same with the waves because we have some, let's say, cliffs in front of the red water, so we know very well that there are some parts of the blue water that are less exposed to wave. Because of this wave inspection, all the people over there, you know, practically, I mean, there are parts of the water that are not so exposed. So then, yes, we can compare. Maybe if we are producing the future with other pole, at least it is well known that they are growing with their organic efforts. Because they are eating. You know,
How do they post plan to feed them when they?
no, they are not need to. So we are doing so because I was not talking about this, but we are feeding many in the lab already.
Because we don't have a, we are feeding them.
Yeah.
When you take them to the food,
The food is there. Because in the end, they don't need to be food. At least, not at this moment. Maybe somebody is doing an industrial, harvesting of there. You never know, because for instance, in Galicia, the agriculture, I don't know. So that's benefits that they are really to start thinking about massive restoration. The scaling, as you know, was talking about. We are in an experiment, and let's see what happens in the future. We can scale up this collection way. Yeah, just for me question. For the head, is it possible or not? The restoration assignments. Yeah, email, you should share all the tasks.
I can speak.
Yeah, again. Sorry.